So this guy, his name's Pence, and Pence really wants kids. No, like bro really wants kids. Like a lot of kids. Like a lot of kids. Which means he's gonna have to do a ton of smashing. Luckily for him, he has a wife. This woman, Michelle. And Michelle also wants a bunch of kids, and so they smash, or however kids are made these days, and 9 months later, they have a kid. And then they have another one, and then another one, and then another one. Okay, real quick, you know a major part of my job involves writing scripts. I upload a true crime story nearly every day, which means I'm constantly writing. And that's why I need tools like Grammarly to help me out with this. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that works seamlessly with your everyday apps and that helps you get your work done by helping you write better and faster. Their AI features help you cut down on the endless rewrites by giving you features like tone adjustments and clarity and engagement. One of the biggest problems I face when writing my true crime scripts is that I tend to sound a little too formal. And you don't want to sound formal when you're telling stories, and Grammarly helps me out with this. And so check this out, I come over to this sidebar and I click Write with Generative AI and click Improve It, and I scroll down until I see Sound Casual. And boom, suddenly my script is sounding a bit more casual. And the best part is that Grammarly writes in your voice, and it sounds like you. It doesn't sound like AI. It actually understands context, and it provides relevant and high-quality suggestions for you. And guess what? All of these features are free. Not to mention all the benefits you get from upgrading to Grammarly Pro, like clarity, which will offer wording suggestions to make your writing much more clear. Grammarly Pro also offers this cool feature where it will anticipate your audience's questions or concerns, and it helps you fill those gaps up front, whether it's suggesting you provide more context or offering you solutions to a problem in your script. And for me, this isn't just a tool, it's an essential part of my storytelling. So sign up and upgrade to Grammarly Pro to level up your writing and your productivity. You can use my link for 20% off of Grammarly Pro. And so by the year 2000, they have 4 kids. 4 kids is a lot. But see, that isn't quite enough for Pence and Michelle. And so they smash and have another kid. A few years later, they have another one. Then years later, another one. And then another one. And then another one. And finally, one more. And so by 2017, they have 10 kids total. And then, unfortunately, one of them dies of sudden infant death syndrome. And so they're back down to 9. But then they smash and have another kid, so now they have 10 again. And so Pence, Michelle, and their 10 kids are one big happy evangelical Christian family, because they're super religious. And 10 kids is a ton, but this still isn't enough for Pence and Michelle. They still want more. And one day, they finally get what they want. 'Cause they're out in their RV on a family road trip, and Michelle gets on the internet, and she checks a message board for parents who homeschool their kids, and she sees a post. And the post says that this other woman and her husband are working on some marital issues, and they're looking for someone to temporarily take care of their 6 kids. And Michelle is like, I want to take care of their 6 kids. We already got 10, but let's add 6 more. And so Michelle writes this couple back, and this couple is Mr. and Mrs. Cordero. And so Michelle connects with Mr. and Mrs. Cordero, and they agree to meet up. So the Pence family drives their RV all the way up to Massachusetts to meet up with these people. Now, the Corderos have 6 kids, so the Pences agree to take 5 of these 6 kids. The one kid, the oldest son they don't take, is special needs, so I guess they just leave that kid behind with his parents, which seems kind of messed up. But anyway, the Pences take 5 kids and they put them in their RV with their other 10 kids, so now they have 15 kids total. And they all drive back to Washington. Now, back at home, the Pences are somewhat strict. They homeschool all these kids, they make them study the Bible, their house is always spotless because I guess they're making the kids clean up the place all the time. But whatever, the 5 Cordero kids seem happy there. Meanwhile, back in Massachusetts, the Corderos gave up 5 of their kids, I guess because they couldn't take care of them. However, they still want contact with them. So the Pences agree to let the Corderos have some contact with their 5 kids, and they're even allowed to come visit them a couple of times a year. And about a year goes by, and I guess this arrangement is still going. Which, by the way, the house they live in is only 1,900 square feet. Which typically a 1,900 square feet house is maybe 3 or 4 bedrooms, which is great, but they got 15 kids. So you've got 15 kids and 2 adults living in, at most, 4 bedrooms. And so therefore, at some point, they decide, we could really use a bigger place. And so they finally find one, and the Pence family moves from Washington all the way down to their new place in Texas. And it's around this time that they decide to formally adopt the 5 Cordero kids, and here's a picture of all of them in family court. Meanwhile, back in Massachusetts, the Corderos actually have another baby. Like, what? Bro, you just gave away 5 of your other kids and you're having another one? But then it gets even weirder. I guess the Corderos miss their 5 kids in Texas because they suddenly relocate and move closer to them in Texas, apparently to make it easier and cheaper to visit their 5 kids. After that, the Corderos get pregnant again. So they gave away their 5 kids and then they had 2 more of their own. Make it make sense. Now, at some point during all this, shit starts to get a little crazy because a rift starts to grow between the Pence family and the Cordero family. And the Pences don't really like the way the Corderos gave their kids away and then had 2 more. And so the Pences are like, F these people. And they take their 15 kids and they move again. This time from Texas all the way up to Utah. And they make sure to not tell the Corderos where they're moving to. But then, in 2020, I guess the Pences been smashing because they get pregnant again. And this will be their 16th kid. And so to break this down for you, there's 16 kids, 2 adults, plus Pence's parents live with them. So that's 20 people living in this house. And the new house is like 7 bedrooms. So there's 20 people in 7 bedrooms. Not only that, apparently the Corderos are still all bitter at them. And their rivalry is still going because the Corderos are like calling in welfare checks on the Pences, trying to get them in trouble. It's a whole mess. And so the Pences and the Corderos are like in this weird feud, and it's pretty bad, but it doesn't seem to be like out of control or anything. Until one day in 2021, Pence finally just snaps. And he starts thinking that the 5 Cordero kids they adopted would be better off if they never see their biological parents again. And he decides to make that happen. And so he goes and he gets on the dark web and he starts looking for ways to hire a hitman. And eventually he lands on a website that's offering just that. A few weeks later, after doing a bunch of due diligence, he finally makes his request. He's like, I need someone to unalive Mr. and Mrs. Cordero and make it look like a burglary gone wrong if you could. And then he gives them their address and he attaches their photos and a $16,000 Bitcoin payment and he hits submit. But then he's like, holy shit, and he immediately panics and cancels it. The next day, I guess he changes his mind yet again and he resubmits his order. Also, apparently, he has the audacity to ask the Hitman website if he can get a discount on these murders, since both the victims live in the same house. Bro is really trying to get a buy one murder, get one free. But anyway, after submitting, Pence waits. And he waits. And he waits. But yet, nothing happens. Why does nothing happen? Well, that's probably because this Hitman website isn't being run by hitmen at all. It's actually a scam website being run by some guys in Romania. And so these scam artists just take the $16,000 in Bitcoin Pence paid them, and they bounce. And they're never heard from again. Bro got scammed. Oh, but it gets much worse for Pence. Because all the way over in the UK, there's a British hacker who's secretly been hacking this Hitman website, and he's feeding the hacked information to a bunch of TV producers who are making some kind of murder-for-hire TV show. And all that information is also being forwarded to the FBI. And so the FBI looks into this, and now they know that this guy Pence tried to put a hit out on these other guys, Mr. and Mrs. Cordero. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And so Pence ends up taking a plea deal, and he gets sentenced to 7 years in prison. Meanwhile, his wife, Michelle, is left to take care of their 16 kids all alone, and she apparently has to rely on charity to survive. Yikes.